Last time we were talking about the Paticca Samuppada, and I hope you remember it and understand it. Today we are going to talk about how to become aware of these things and become enlightened. So I told you the way is what is called the normally called the Noble Eightfold Path, but I translate it as the Supernormal Eightfold Way. Why I call it the Supernormal Eightfold Way is because the aim is to bring the normal person to a supernormal level. Now in modern psychotherapy, what they try to do is to bring an abnormal person to a normal state. But what the Buddha has been trying to do is to bring a normal person to a supernormal state. And that supernormal state is really bringing the normal person. We must understand that the normal person, the normal human being, is also an animal. That means in what we call the mind, which is really not something separate from the body, what we call the mind is an activity of the body. And there are two main activities that we refer to as the mind. One activity the Buddha called Chitta. Another activity is what is called Mano. And this Chitta is where we get all the emotions. Desire for pleasures, hatred of pain, even the thought I am, feeling of selfishness, all that comes from the Chitta. That is the animal part of the human being. All animals are self-centered, seeking pleasures and trying to avoid pain. All this is the Chitta. What is called Mano is the thinking part. The Chitta cannot think. Chitta can only feel angry or feel frightened or feel desirous of things. The Chitta is only feeling things, whereas the thinking is done by Mano. So what the Buddha was trying to do was to get the human being to rise above the animal nature and to become fully human. And this is why the Buddha spoke of giving up three things: Lobha, Dosa and Moha. Lobha is the desire for pleasures. Dosa is the hatred of pain. And Moha is the thought, I am the self. So this is what we are trying to achieve, because that is the teaching of the Buddha. And the Buddha pointed out that there are 3 steps that we have to go through. The first step is what is called Sila. When we recited the 5 precepts, that is Sila. That is, we are not going to be carried away by our emotions. Even if we become angry, you don't act in the angry way. When you become frightened, you don't act in that frightened way. When you desire things, you don't act in that way. So this is the meaning of practicing the 5 precepts. So that is Sila. Sila is our behavior. And the next step is learning to calm the mind. Because every emotion is a disturbance of the mind. So that disturbance has to be stopped and calm the mind. That is what is called Samadhi. So we have to practice Sila and then Samadhi to calm the mind. And once we have calmed the mind, the next step is what is called Panya or Prajna is the Sanskrit form, Panya is the Pali form. That means gaining insight into the realities of life. So it is only by gaining insight into the realities of life that this disturbance can be stopped. Now the problem is how? How are we able to do this? And that how is to practice the Eightfold Path. That means there are 8 steps on the path. The first step is what is called Sammaditthi. Now here on this paper, I hope you have got this paper. Huh? From the bottom we go up. Huh? We don't start from the top to go down. Go from the bottom to the top. So the first is Sammaditthi, which is the harmonious perspective. Now we use that word harmonious because in normal translations they use right view. We don't call it right view, we call it the harmonious perspective. We are not using the words right and wrong. Because samma, the word samma means harmony. Ditti is the perspective. Perspective means how we look at things. From what angle are we looking at things? We can look at things from different angles. So we are choosing a special angle and also bringing about harmony, because our normal way of looking at things is the wrong way of looking at things, because it is creating conflict. Because the normal chitta, which is the emotional part, is going against reality and creating a conflict. You see, reality is that everything in the world comes and goes. Everything comes into being and then it is destroyed. That is the nature of things in the world. Every person who is born ultimately grows old, falls sick and dies. That is the nature of things in the world. But our emotions don't like that. We don't want to grow old. We don't want to fall sick. We don't want to die. That means our emotions are in conflict with reality. This is the problem. So this is the problem, a conflict. And so this is a way of looking at the world which overcomes the conflict and creates harmony. That is why we call it the harmonious perspective. So we are trying to overcome the conflict. The harmonious perspective is really understanding the realities of life, anicca, dukkha and anatta. Anicca means that everything is dependent on conditions. And what is dependent on conditions is unstable. Just as a piece of ice depends on the temperature. You increase the temperature, the ice turns into water. So what is dependent on conditions is unstable. Anicca means the instability of things. And what is unstable is not as we want. And therefore, that is creating unhappiness. Dukkha means unhappiness, creating unhappiness. It is unpleasant. What is unstable is unpleasant. Dukkha. And if it is unpleasant, not behaving as we want, it is not under my power. If it is behaving in a different way, it is not under my power. Now this body begins to grow old, and that is not what I want. So it is not behaving as I want. If the body is not behaving as I want, it means it is not under my power. The body is not under my power. And if it is not under my power, it cannot be called my body. What I call mine is under my power. If it is not under my power, it is not mine. If the body is not mine, can the body be me? What is not mine cannot be me. But we normally think the body is myself. But the body cannot be myself if it is not mine and if it is not under my power. That is the meaning of anatta. Anatta means not mine. I call it the impersonality. It is impersonal. To say it is impersonal means it is not mine. So, everything is unstable, unpleasant, and impersonal. So this is the reality of life. And to understand the reality of life is very important. But it is the mano, the thinking part of our mind, that can understand reality. But the emotional part doesn't understand anything. It can only feel the desire or the hatred or the unhappiness, worries, fears. So this is why we have to gain control over our emotions and calm the mind. And that is to start practicing this Supernormal Eightfold way. So the first step is the Harmonious Perspective. So once we have done the Harmonious Perspective, the next step is Harmonious Orientation. Now what is the meaning of orientation? You see, if you are driving a vehicle and you are going north, now you are going to turn south and go in the opposite direction. We call that taking a U-turn. So you have to take a U-turn. That is the harmonious orientation. Orientation is to start turning the opposite direction. So if you have been seeking pleasures, you have to stop seeking pleasure. If you have been hating things or hating people, you have to stop hating. If you have been harming or hurting or fighting, you have to stop all that. This orientation is to turn in the opposite direction. That is the harmonious orientation. Now, once you have turned in the right direction, that is a mental turn. You have turned. But turning alone is not enough. Then you'll have to press your accelerator so that it will start moving. Huh? So then that is, you start with the harmonious speech. You begin to speak in the right way. Then the harmonious action. You begin to act in the right way. Harmonious living. You have to start living in the right way. That's the harmonious lifestyle. So you speak in the right way, act in the right way, and live in the right way. So when you begin to do that, now you are going in the opposite direction. And because you have turned in the right direction, however much you press your accelerator, you will be going only in that direction. You won't be going in another direction. So that means, that is what is called entering the stream. It's called Sotapanna. Sotapanna means it's like a log that you throw into the river. If you throw a log into the river, it will gradually go and fall into the ocean, because the river gradually flows and goes to the ocean. In the same way, if you practice it in this way, you will gradually flow into nirvana. Nirvana is that ultimate state, free from all suffering, free from all unhappiness, free from all worries, anxieties, and disturbances. So the most important thing is turning in the right direction. So that is the first part of this. But once you have fallen into the stream in the right way, where it is true that you will be gradually floating in the right direction, but still you have to start swimming. Not only just being there, lying down, you have to start swimming. And that is the harmonious exercise. The harmonious exercise where you begin to start swimming. in that direction. Now this harmonious exercise has 4 parts to it. 4 parts. They are called Sangvara, Pahana, Bhavana and Anurakana. We are going from the bottom to the top. Sangvara means, you see, it's a very important thing we have to understand. Now, what we are trying to do is to stop the emotional reaction. We are emotionally reacting to what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste, what we touch. This is the problem. So we have to stop this. Now, how can we stop that? The first step is when we see something, don't keep looking at that thing and start thinking about it. If you see something beautiful, don't start thinking about how beautiful it is. If you see something ugly, don't keep on thinking how ugly that is. In the same way, when you hear something, you don't think about how pleasant what you hear is. When you hear something unpleasant, you don't think about how unpleasant it is. If you begin to think about it, you begin to react emotionally to it. That is called guarding the senses. You are guarding the senses, guarding the eye, guarding the ear, guarding the nose, guarding the tongue, and guarding the sense of touch, the body, feeling in the body. Not to be thinking about the pleasant and the unpleasant. That's the first step. Then the second step is, if any reaction occurs, that means if a desire or a hatred comes up, you have to throw it out immediately. That is the second step. First, you stop thinking about what you see, hear, smell. The second is, if any reaction occurs, you have to stop that. That's the second step. Then the third step is what is called cultivation. What is cultivation? That cultivation is to keep looking inside instead of outside. It is only when we look outside that we begin to focus on what we see or hear or smell or taste or touch. So instead of thinking of the outside, we begin to think about what is going on inside. what is happening to my body. Now, if we begin to react, the body begins to shake. And the second step is to become aware of how the body feels. Are you feeling comfortable or are you feeling uncomfortable? How the body feels. Then the next step is becoming aware of the emotion that has been aroused. If any emotion is aroused, you have to become aware of that. That is also going on inside, not outside. Become aware of the emotion. Then the fourth one is to become aware of the thought that came to the mind. If any thought came to the mind, we have to become aware of that. So constantly watching what is going on inside, what is happening to the body, how is the body feeling, comfortable or uncomfortable, what is the emotional state, is it a desire or anger or fear or worry or whatever is going on emotionally. And then the thoughts that arise in the mind. So to become aware of these four things, that is what is called satipatthana, usually translated as mindfulness. But I don't call it mindfulness. That is not mindfulness, that is what is called introspection. Looking within, looking at what is going on inside you. It's called introspection. So this practice of introspection is not only just 1 minute or 2 minutes or even 3 minutes or even 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. It has to be done 24 hours a day, all the time. Our mind should be kept inside, not outside. Now that is the real satipatthana, which is not mindfulness, that is mind emptiness. You are emptying the mind. And it is really introspection, looking within, not looking outside. Because if you begin to look outside, you will be reacting. Here we are trying to stop reacting emotionally. So we have to be looking inside all the time. And if you do that properly, the next step is Samma Vayama, harmonious exercise, turns into harmonious attention. The harmonious attention is the Samma Sati. Now, if we practice this Samma Sati in the proper way, what happens? If it is done in the proper way, Samma Sati becomes the first step in the 7 steps to awakening. You begin to go through the process called awakening. You are awakening from the dream of existence. You think you are existing. That is a dream. You are dreaming that you are existing. But really you are not existing at all. You are only thinking you are existing. This is why the Buddha is a person who has awakened from the dream of existence. So it's very important to understand that what we spoke of last time was the Paticca Samuppada, which is an explanation of how your mind automatically creates the idea of existence. You are becoming aware of existing world outside and the existence of a self inside. You are thinking, I exist here in this world with so many people around. And then you begin to form relationships with all these people, and as a result, you begin to fight and quarrel and begin to experience all the problems of life through self-centered thinking. It is only by properly practicing this way that you are able to gain freedom from this suffering. Now it's very important to understand this properly. I think this explaining the 7 steps to awakening we can leave for the next time. So we have almost reached the end of our time. So you can ask questions now about this meditation. This, what we call meditation, is simply what we just described. And if you have any doubts or anything that was not very clear, You can ask now.
Bhante, you mentioned that the mind is a function of chitta and mano.
Yeah.
So in terms of the khandas, the chitta is the vedana.
Huh?
So in terms of the khandas, the four khandas, the mind khandas,
Yeah.
vedana is the chitta, is it?
No. Now you sit down, I will explain. So when you begin to listen to what I am saying, there are so many other branches of what I am saying. You can't just get hold of one branch and understand the whole thing. What are called the khandas has nothing to do with this. We'll be talking about the khandas more fully maybe in the next talk. But just because you asked this question, I have to tell you that this was explained last time, I think. What we call khanda is not just aggregates. Today it is translated as simply aggregates. It's not just aggregates. Khanda is analysis of the process of perception. Now, when I look at this cup, I am looking at the cup. But what is the meaning of looking? That is what is important to understand. The process of perception is the process called looking. You see, looking is not simply turning your eye towards the cup. That is not the looking. The process of seeing the cup has been analyzed into 5 parts. First thing is to understand that what we call the eye is like a camera. The eye works like a camera. When you take a picture with the camera, what you take is a picture. And that picture is what is called rupa. The word rupa means picture. Now, when we talk about the 5 aggregates, or the 5 khandas, first thing is rupa. Rupa means the picture. So when I look at the cup, I see a picture. Where is the picture? The picture, when you take a picture with the camera, where is the picture going to be? The picture is inside the camera, but I think the cup is here. But the actual fact is the cup is here inside, not there. So that it is simply a picture that you see, and the picture is here and not there. And that is only what I see is a picture, but how did the picture come into being? When I open my eyes and see, you have to understand that how you see is, today the scientists have understood that it is a ray of light that comes and falls into the eye. And this ray of light has a frequency. And in the eye, there is at the back of the eyeball, there is what is called the retina. And in the retina, there are nerve endings. And there are several nerve endings which receive only one frequency of light. And there are seven kinds of nerve endings that receive seven frequencies. And those seven frequencies are violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. So in other words, what you see is only color. So when you open your eyes, what you see is only color. And the color, some colors look beautiful, some colors look ugly. So the pleasantness and the unpleasantness is what is called Vedana. Vedana is the feeling, how you feel. And the word Sanya means the color. So you have the color. What? So the Vedana and the Sanya, the color, and how you feel the color. So what you see is colors, and whether it is pleasant or unpleasant or neutral. So the Rupa means you are creating a picture using the colors. So when you look at a picture, the picture is made of colors, and you are creating the picture by putting the colors together. And once you have formed the picture in this way, another thing happens. You have to identify the picture. You might say, this is a face. That is identifying the picture. Or when I look at this, I say, this is a cup. So when we identify, we put a name to it. This is a cup. Cup is a name. This is a bottle. Bottle is a name. So you see, the color and how it feels, Vedana and the Sanya. And the Rupa is the picture. And the picture is created or constructed by putting the colors together. And that construction is what is called Sankhara. So you have to learn these Pali words, then only you begin to understand this. And then the word Vijnana means recognizing the picture. So when we recognize the picture, we have a picture and we put a name to it, Nama and Rupa. Nama is the name, Rupa is the picture. So when we talk about the 5 aggregates, that meaning doesn't come. So instead of saying 5 aggregates, I call it the 5 constituents of the process of perception. The 5 constituents of the process of perception. I don't call it 5 aggregates. It doesn't convey the meaning. So what we call the Pancha Khanda is really the 5 constituents of the process of perception. Now you understand, huh?
But to them, the traditional way, Nama Rupa is what they call a man or something.
Yeah, this is.
So that's the problem.
This is, I don't call it the tradition. That is not the tradition. This is simply the translation given by the translators. It's not a tradition. So this was first translated by Rice Davids. He was the first translator, and there is a big dictionary that gives the meaning of all these words that they have been using. But the important thing is, it was very difficult for a Westerner like Englishman or even German to understand these words, Pali and Sanskrit, because that language is very different from this. But for us it is easier because our language, which is Sinhalese, is very close to Pali and Sanskrit, because we have words that are common to both languages. So it's easy to understand. So this is why when we begin to understand what we are talking about, we have to translate in a different way to bring the meaning out. So any other questions you have?
Previous class question.
Yeah?
Can I use the whiteboard?
You want to write something?
I just want to draw something.
Uh-huh.
Okay. There is a fire, a candle fire. So I can use the candle fire to represent Mano, Chitta, body, and the world we perceive. So they are world we perceive. That means the world we perceive.
Body,
Mano, Chitta, body, and the world we perceive. So they exist due to the necessary condition. Am I right?
No. Why do you combine those things?
No, just
What is
for simplifying my these questions.
Huh?
Just want to simplify my question, so that's why I use this frame to represent Mano, Chitta, body, and the world we perceive.
What is the connection between those words you are using?
Yeah, doesn't matter. Maybe I just think of this. Okay. So all this Mano, Chitta, body, they exist due to the necessary condition. Am I right?
What? Necessary condition?
The Mano, Chitta, body, they exist due to the necessary condition. Can I say that?
No. That there is no real connection there.
Yes, I know.
Mano and Chitta
Maybe three flame. I use three flame.
are activities of the body.
Yes. So now is my question is if let's say this is the past life and now this is a present life, and this is a future life. Okay, so if let's say this past life, the condition is finished, so all this flame just put off, so we don't know where it goes. It will just extinct like that. So now is this present life. So why this past life, when this person accumulated this bad karma, it can affect this present life, this body, Mano, and Chitta. And how this karma can be retained, and at where it retained actually.
I think you are looking at this whole thing in the wrong way.
Okay.
You see,
because you read the Buddha scripture, you will mention that is Buddha can look at these are many life, the karmic energy created by the person. So you say, okay, past life, because you created this bad karma, that's why this present life you have to suffer. So maybe you born in hell. So if let's say in past life you create this good karma, in the future you may, in this life you create a good karma, in the future you born in the heaven.
you see, past life and future life and all that, you are talking about your picture that you are drawing is like a flame.
Yes.
So if it is a flame,
So that means
you have to understand that if you have a cigarette in your mouth and you take a matchstick and the matchstick gets a flame and you hold it near the cigarette, then the cigarette gets lighted.
okay.
So rebirth is a thing like that.
Bhante, can you speak into the microphone? Can you speak into the microphone so all can hear?
So it's a thing like that.
So my question is, how this karmic energy being retained, at where it retained?
No. You are using the wrong words. Those are things as karmic energy.
Now how come in this Buddha's story mentioned, okay, a lot of his disciples, he mentioned, oh, in the previous life, because we have create this good karma, we born in this heaven. Or because you create a bad karma, you born into hell, all these things. You have to suffer all this.
You see, the first thing is to understand that the flame, what is a flame?
Flame,
Huh?
I would say that is keep on changing. If let's say you zoom into the...
Flame is an activity.
Yes, it's keep on changing. I'm right.
You have to understand the difference between an activity and an entity. An entity is different from an activity. You see, now my hand is an entity. If the hand shakes like that, that is an activity. So, if I shake my hand and my hand shaking starts a different shaking here, the paper begins to shake.
Okay.
So that means my hand shaking has started another shaking here, shaking off. That is the meaning of rebirth. The rebirth is this activity here starts another activity here. Rebirth is a thing like that. Nothing goes from here to the other place.
Yeah, this one I understand, but problem is I still got some doubt is where does this karmic energy created by the person?
What is energy? Energy is not an entity. Energy is an activity.
Now how come we can retain for so many life cycle?
Yeah. One activity leads to, if you have a row of marbles, you hit the first marble, that marble will strike the second marble, and the second marble will strike the third marble, and so the activity goes on. But nothing is going from here to the other place. So we have to understand that we are talking about activities and not about entities. It's very difficult to understand it till you have thought about it properly. Now, if you don't think about it in the proper way, then you don't understand it.
All right. Thank you, Bhante.
Okay.
Bhante, I have two questions. The first question is a continuation of the brother. So it means that Bhante, we cultivate relaxation of body, calm the mind, we still the mind. We cultivate the relaxation of body, calm the mind, and still the mind. So the meaning is that I'm trying to say that when we still the mind, we're trying to stop the activities of the body. Right?
Yeah.
So if we are able to stop the activity of bodies at the time we pass away, then there will be no energy going to the next rebirth.
Yeah.
So this is the aim of our practice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Second question, Bhante. Your previous class, Bhante says that there are there are four types of food. Or there are four types of food.
Yeah.
For the beings to sustain themselves. First is the food, the physical food that we eat. Second is the pasa. Next is the vijnana, and the third is the mano sanchita. So my question to Bhante is that these four types of food is also the food for Arahant? Thank you, Bhante.
No. What is the last question you said?
Are these four types of food that normal people use it for maintenance also the types of food for Arahant?
Oh, yeah.
But how can Arahant have this type of, especially the chitta? Chitta is emotion. Arahant has no more emotion.
Well, the chitta is not there in the Arahant.
Bhante, speak in here. The microphone is here. Turn up. Turn to the microphone.
Well, the chitta is not in the Arahant. The Arahants, it is the chitta that starts this rebirth and all kinds of things.
So it means that in summary, Arahants have only the food of the physical food plus the vinyan, pasa, mano.
The food is gone.
Then what are foods for Arahant to sustain their life here?
Arahant takes food to sustain the life of the body. not the, you see, Arahant has the body, but he doesn't think of the body as myself.
So it means that Arahant has the food, the physical food, and they do have, he also have pasa, Vijnana, and Mano.
All those things are there.
Except Chitta.
No, Chitta means the emotions are not there. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Bhante.
Yeah.
Bhante, sorry, back to the first question. Back to the first question. In the previous sutta, Bhante said, the sutta says that there are three conditions for beings to take rebirth. One is the unions of mother and father in the right season. Second is that another second reason I've forgotten. But the third one is that there must be an agent ready to take rebirth. Is it the agent or the Gandhabba? The Gandhabba
Gandhabba is the agent.
Is the Gandhabba referring to the continuity activities of the body that take rebirth of that?
What?
Is the Gandhabba referring to the activities of the body or the mind that cause it to take place?
Yeah.
Okay, understand. Thank you, Bhante.
Okay.
Can I just continue with what she asked about the Arahant? So does it mean, see, when they're talking about nutriment, when then Arahant, an Arahant only experience a situation that he's no more, he doesn't construct anything more. That means there is no construction of existence, nothing to construct. So he has no conceptualization of anything, but just an experience.
No. The important thing is the emotions are not there.
And he doesn't construct any more. He doesn't create what I mean, Bhante. There's no
he's
Vitaka
creating
Vichara
all the
is
time.
no more. There's no Vitaka Vichara for an Arahant. He has stopped creating. He only experiences.
Vitaka Vichara.
It's gone for an Arahant. It's gone.
No. The Vitaka Vichara is there.
For Arahant?
Yeah.
At fourth jhana? At fourth jhana?
In the jhana. But the important thing is that in the first jhana, the Vitaka Vichara is there, no? So the Arahant will be almost like being in the first jhana all the time. The Arahant doesn't come out of the first jhana. To come out of the first jhana is to have all the 5 hindrances. The Arahant doesn't have the 5 hindrances. That is why the mind is purified.
But neither the Arahant construct anymore, because Vitaka Vichara is gone at the second jhana.
No. That is in the second jhana. But in the first jhana, Vitaka Vichara is there.
Yes, but he has gone beyond the first jhana.
No. He has not gone beyond the first jhana.
Arahant?
No.
Bhante,
Yeah?
I'd like to get your clarification. I think what Sister asked is actually in the Mula Paryaya Sutta.
Mula Paryaya Sutra. Yeah?
That's right. And the chitta is there, but the Arahant does not react to how you react. The Arahant just has a...
Reaction is the chitta.
Yes. The Arahant, if he gets his finger cut, he doesn't run to the hospital.
Huh?
The chitta is not a reaction. It is just an intellectual observation. Okay, my finger is gone. The finger does not belong to me. It is not mine. It's not mine to be personalized. And whatever jhana which an Arahant is in, is only a state of mind. It is temporary. It's not permanent. He can toggle between being in a state of jhana and come out and answer your question, like what the Buddha does. Sometimes people ask him questions.
No, that is when you are in the first jhana,
Yeah.
you can talk.
Agreed, Bhante. So the Buddha could toggle between a jhana state with complete bliss and could come out and have a relationship to anybody who asked him a question. Yeah, I think that's where your point needed clarification. Thank you, Bhante.
Bhante, I'd just like to clarify one thing, right? Is that I think we should not, correct me if I'm wrong, is that we should not relate the jhanas to the attainment of, let's say, for instance, the arahants and all that. Because the jhanas itself is just a process where for them to realize that there is no self. Right? The moment that they have removed self means there's no chitta, which is actually the emotional reaction. Right? So in other words, through the jhanas they still have, like the first jhana, you have the vitaka, vichara and all these things. They still construct. Their mind still constructs the concepts. It's just that there is no emotional reaction. Correct me if I'm wrong. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So coming back to this as well, the different rebirths, right? It's just when we reach arahanthood, we don't create the next life. That's all.
Yeah.
Correct? So in other words, due to the activity of the what we call the chitta, which is the emotional reaction, we create karma, right? And then that creates the next life. But that doesn't mean that it is your life. Right? It doesn't mean that you continue to live. It's just that you create the next life, that's all. It's just like when you strike a match, you light a paper, the paper burns. That you cause the paper to burn, that's all. Right? Thank you. Thank you, Bhante.
Okay.
Bhante, I want to clarify one more point regarding this absence of chitta. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's more correct to say the chitta is there, but it doesn't react because the chitta has reached a state where it is unified with the mano. The two minds have become one.
That's right. Chitta
is still present.
Chitta is there. The thing is that chitta can remain in two ways.
Mm-hmm.
Agitated or calm.
That's right.
So chitta is in a calm state.
Always in the calm state.
Always in the
and
calm
this is,
state.
Is it correct to say then that is the state where it is considered as unified with mano? Which is described as ekagata.
Unified with mano.
Yeah.
That's right.
And that is actually a state of samadhi.
It's a kind of samadhi.
Yeah, that's right. The unified. So in other words, the chitta is there, just that it is now in a pacified state.
Yeah, that's right.
No, okay, I think, so that clarifies. Thank you.
The important thing is, in the chitta, we have to use a word like mood. The mood or temperament. The mood or temperament can be in an agitated state or it can be in a calm state. In the Arahant, it is always in the calm state, not in the agitated state. That's why there is no emotional.
The Pancha Nivaranas are gone.
The Pancha Nivarana is gone, yeah. So Pancha Nivarana is the agitation.
That's why Bhante said that the Arahant is always in a state of jhana. That's why the Arahants are always in a state of jhana.
Yeah, I think the Arahant is at least in the first jhana.
Always.
All the time, yeah.
Like in the Maha, in the Maha Parinibbana Sutta, before the Buddha prepares for his Parinibbana, he goes from
Yeah.
in the Maha Parinibbana Sutta, to prepare for the Parinibbana, the Buddha comes from the normal state of mind to the first jhana, then comes out from the first jhana, goes back into the first jhana, and then goes to the second jhana, comes out from the second jhana. So, the Buddha does not stay in the first jhana, right?
Huh? Buddha does not?
The Buddha does not stay in the first jhana, right? Because
usually the Arahant and Buddhas always at least in the first jhana.
Okay.
Because if you come out of the first jhana...
That's preparing to pass away.
Huh?
Yeah, they move to other jhanas, yes.
But I don't know. I think the sutta says it comes out from the first jhana and then goes into the...
No, that is before he passed away, he was going from one jhana to another. That is when he was passing away. Yeah.
Once you eliminated the 5 hindrances, you are always in jhana. It's just a which jhana.
Greetings, Bhante. I just want to ask one question. Is it necessary to go through the jhana process to be enlightened? I just want to clarify this. Certain school, they say no need jhana, so I just want to clarify this.
No, at least the first jhana is needed to get into the real arahantship.
Bhante, so what do you mean? What do they mean by dry? What do they mean by dry insight then?
What?
They use the word dry insight.
Chai?
Dry. D-R-Y. Dry insight. That means without the jhanas.
Dry insight?
Dry.
That is...
D-R-Y.
That is this... not the Buddha's words. You are using these... these Dhammapada things. Those are not real Buddha's words.
So, is it possible?
Huh?
So, is it possible to be awakened without jhanas then, in your opinion?
You cannot.
No. Huh?
Yeah. Jhana is necessary.
Thank you, Brother.
But they always say that Nibbana is unconditioned. But it sounds like Nibbana is conditioned on the first jhana.
No, unconditioned doesn't mean that you don't need jhanas. That is not the meaning of unconditioned. Nirvana, once you attain nirvana, nirvana itself is an unconditioned state, means it is not based on conditions. But to enter nirvana, you have to go through the Noble Eightfold Path. You can say the Noble Eightfold Path is a condition to nirvana. But nirvana itself is not a conditioned state. That is the meaning. You can't just go enter nirvana without anything. That is not correct.
So, Bhante, can you say Nibbana is at existential thinking then? He has changed from existential thinking to experiential thinking. That is the Nibbanic state.
What it is.
What's your question?
That,
That means he has gone to an experiential state.
No, that is a different thing that we are talking about the paradigm shift. You're talking about the paradigm shift. It's a different way of thinking. There are two ways of thinking. To think in terms of existence, in terms of existence. That is existential thinking. That means if you think I am existing here, you are existing there, that kind of thinking is existential thinking. But the thinking in nirvana is the experiential thinking.
Samsaric and Nibbanic.
Huh?
So it's Samsaric and Nibbanic Buddhism.
Well,
To think in terms of existence is samsaric.
Then if you are trying to mix things in the wrong way, if you begin to mix it like that, then you get into wrong thinking. So anyway, I think we have come to the end of our time. Huh? So next time we get into the 7 steps to awakening.